Hello and welcome back. Yeah, in this video we're going to be doing the retopo, but there's a couple of little tweaks that I kind of want to make to this thing. Looking at my reference, I think I kind of want to bring these, whatever we called them, the bloops, kind of want to bring them in a bit. So I'm just going to select them here, and because there's one on each side, we can probably get away with just a little bit of a scale. Nothing too crazy, just something like that. And again, because that was a non-uniform scale, just need to put these to global space. Secondly, I noticed that a couple of these things are a little too high poly for what they need to be, especially the body. Like if I come here into the wireframe, you can see, you know, everything else. I mean, it's all pretty high poly, but this is just it's a little too much. It's causing me some lag. You can press this little thing here, which kind of like archives it, which helps because then you can just bring back the full resolution one afterwards. So if I just press that, it'll just run through some of this. And so that has let's turned it down to 700 triangles, but it has actually preserved what was there before. So it's not quite the same as doing a resample, because the detail is still there. We're just kind of hiding it for now. But even if you see it like 700,000, there's not a whole lot happening here. So I don't need to have this archived. So I'll bring this back, and I will actually just resample it down so it's always just a little bit low. I'll maybe do like 966, and I'll keep an eye out on some of this stuff just to see if it changes too much. But no, so that was it, and I didn't actually notice anything. Yeah, so the other thing is these bloops. They're also insane. They're like 1.3 million, which is kind of ridiculous. I'm gonna turn these into a surface object and then resample them down, only because I think resampling down to like this number in voxel mode might cause some degradation. I mean, even this might, we'll see. So I'll just hit OK on that, and yeah, I mean, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. The blade also is kind of insane, but you know what? While we're here, we'll just give this a little thing. My H key to select objects, kind of, it's half working and half not working. Don't really know what's going on there, but oh well. Select them the old-fashioned way, I guess. So this is 615. Let's convert it to surface. I mean, I don't need to do this at all. I just kind of want to test it a bit. So 370. I mean, that came down a touch, but I'm okay with that, especially for what I have planned with it anyway. But so yeah, I'll stop messing around with that. One thing you may have kind of wondered is why I've put this little indent here for the trigger, but I haven't bothered to do anything for where these flippers come down. And again, I can't seem to select them, so I'll select them here. So yeah, you know, these will rotate like this, but I haven't got any kind of cut out here. And that's mostly because it's kind of going to be a massive pain when it comes to the retopo. We've already given ourselves some sort of extra things to get around here with this little kind of bit here that will never be seen, that I probably shouldn't have done, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, for the actual bits with these flippers, we'll just do a texture. That'll probably be fine. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to do a little bit of a cutout, then more power to you. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and we'll jump straight into the retopo room, and I guess we'll follow like the same order as we did things before. So let's just hide all of this stuff, and we'll start. Let's get rid of the blade as well. We'll start with the grip area. So let's see. Let's call this handle. Actually, I think this is kind of a later thing. Name correspondence will be turned on, so I'm going to keep things 1-to-1 for now. So grip will be the same grip as this. So let's just hide this for a second. Orthographic mode. And for this, the easiest is always strokes. So something like that. And if you hold shift whilst you draw this, it will do it straight. Pretty handy. Let's see, symmetry is off. It's radial symmetry as well. So let's see. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. So that should be fine. We don't want global space though. So local space. There we go. Pick from bounding box. That should be fine. Let's just draw then a line. So rather than starting from the outside, like this one, like starting from the outside and then crossing over, it becomes orange, which means it will cut through, or rather project through the whole thing. We just want to create one line on it, so we'll start the line on the mesh, and then not that way. There we go. Holding shift just to bring it across. And so now number of segments, 8 or so should be fine. Maybe we want to use more. Okay, yeah. So probably turn symmetry off. So that should be fine. I mean, we're going to unwrap this uniquely anyway because of all these curves. We don't really want to mirror that, so we don't have to worry too much about this being not symmetrical. So that'll do for the grip at least. The bolt should be pretty easy, so we'll just create a new layer. And again, so it's on radial symmetry, naval symmetry, local space. And actually we don't really want to do that symmetry here, because like if I just not that one, so if I go points and faces, and if I just we'd essentially have to do it like this, where it creates an edge loop in the middle, but there's no real reason for that, and it's such a small shape you can kind of mirror it anywhere else. So we'll disregard the Z symmetry and we'll use one of the others. I don't know why that's appearing down there. It's a bit strange. Reset symmetry. Okay, something weird's going on there. Don't know why that's not working. Pick from bounding box or on the bolt layer. Yeah, no idea. Okay, let's just disregard symmetry on that, and oh wait a minute, I was on local space. No, still no. Okay, yeah, so let's just pray that that doesn't happen again. Because yeah, the shape is so basic anyway that it doesn't really matter. Yeah, hopefully we don't run into any other problems. I mean, we probably will. Okay, so that'll do for that, and then we get this hilty thing. New layer. So we might as well see actually if the symmetry has kind of gone completely crazy. So reset symmetry. X. So okay, that's I don't know why that's happening. It seems like a bit of a bug to me, because in the sculpture room it works fine, but in here it doesn't. So we'll have to just rely on the Z symmetry only, because that's just the Z of the world anyway. So it should be fine. And similar to what we did before, so we'll strokes this. But we'll include maybe 2 down the middle, just so we get that curve at the top. And I believe at least sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, like I was showing you before, so we might have to disable symmetry, but I'll just draw that line across there. Make sure that it does actually cross over. It's a little close, so I'm just going to do that again. It was probably fine, but we'll see. And then I'll hit enter. And yeah, okay, so no good. So let's disable symmetry, hit enter again. And at this point you can actually enable symmetry. and then hit this symmetrical copy, and it will kind of just work the rest out by itself. So if you saw there, it moved a bit, so now this is actually symmetrical. Pretty neat. There's no point in trying to let's see, points and faces, like trying to create geometry. If it would just let me place this down like this, so going from here and then across like that, unless it kind of saves you some polygons. But I think actually for us it would just kind of create more, and it's such a low small area that there's it's not a whole lot of point. And I think I mentioned, like in the sculpt phase, when we're doing this, that I would regret attaching this. And this is kind of why, because I do want to keep these meshes separate. So the mesh of this one will actually just intersect with this one, which is going to be a little annoying to do, but should be kind of fine. Let's just put that one down there, and we can't really grab this one now because it's sort of like inside. Oh well, there you go. So we can grab it, but if we were to try and pull it down, it will try to snap to this surface of the outside. So we'll undo that. And there's a couple of ways to move this. One is to kind of just select it and then just use the transform tool. And so now we kind of have free reign to place it wherever we want. Somewhere like that should be fine. Symmetry seems to still be working, so we can move it up and down but not left or right, so that's cool. Leave that like that. And then we do have the handle coming in on the other side, but we definitely want some geometry here. So it's just points and faces this to a point, maybe something like that. And the reason that we don't try to like close this gap completely is mainly just to kind of save a little bit on texture space. Obviously for such a sort of small piece, it doesn't really matter too much, but if you can imagine that this grip will kind of cover this anyway, and so there's an area, wow, that's freaky, there's an area here that will never be seen, so you might as well not kind of include it in an unwrap, because it's just wasted texture space. But yeah, I mean, as I say, it's pretty small fry at this point, so wouldn't worry too much if you want to collapse this down. You know, do whatever you want really. It's just a bit of a tip. So yeah, I'm going to use just points and faces just to finish off this this other shape here. In fact, just to make my life a little bit easier, I'll eventually merge these, but I'll hide the hilt for now just so it's not in my way. Should be fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'll just use the select tool, and we'll grab some verts on this side, and we'll just move those in just a bit, just so we know they definitely will intersect and go through, so we don't get any weird gap. You don't want to obviously do it too much, but just enough so you know that it's going through. In fact, if you scale it just a little bit on that axis, then you'll at least also know that they'll be straight. So yeah, that should be fine. So yeah, Control D just to deselect those. And now I don't know if the shift thing works in here actually. Oh, okay, it does. So yeah, it's the same as the sculpture, and so you can hold shift and move one layer over another to drop them into the same layer basically. So yeah, that's that done. So now the body. This one's probably going to be the most time consuming. And for starters, not sure what's going on over here. 3D code is being very strange today. I think I'm just going to create a kind of a ring around the whole thing, just with points and faces, or quads, or whatever else. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You know, you can sort of use even add and split to just kind of come here, create something, or you can use quads just to kind of move some stuff around, or rather add things. You can change the quad method, so we'll actually just create them like this, which is a pretty speedy way of doing it. maybe I'll do that. Yeah, might as well. So we'll start with what we had here, just one polygon, and I'll just move this stuff a bit. Let's get our symmetry plane. And the reason that I'm going to enable that is because when you're using the quads tool with this mode, or I think even parallel does the same, I want to use this blue symmetry line as like my reference point for where my other line should end up. That way, if it's close enough, it will automatically snap to the mirror, because if I'm off by too much, then it will do stuff like that. Similarly, I think if you go too far the other way, yeah, then it will kind of cross over. So yeah, I'm enabling the symmetry plane just as a guide. Okay, so you may have noticed, I mean, aside from this little area here, which I'll fix up, but as you're kind of just creating these, the flow of these polygons is kind of like it's sort of staying the same as where it was at the top, and so as you come around a corner, it kind of like it ends up kind of being a bit wrong. So I just like to come in here and just tweak these just a little bit, just so they're a bit straighter, like something where they should be, especially like here. You can imagine that those are not supposed to kind of be at that angle. And then we'll fix this up as well. Yeah, we'll come back to this area because it is definitely, like, this is a problem, but it's a problem that we can fix, so it's all good. So yeah, I'm just going to straighten these up a bit and then continue putting this ring around. Yeah, and so up here, obviously it's going to get a bit weird because this area comes in. So let's just move a little bit of it now. So you may have noticed I keep switching tools to move the points around. But now you can actually do that with quads as well. It's just like an old habit doing it with points and faces. But it is still quite good because with this tool you can still weld things, whereas with the quads tool, if you're moving them, I don't think it welds anything. So yeah, it's still probably my go-to tool when it comes to moving around verts and whatnot. Individually, at least. You don't want to use it for like mass scale stuff. But yeah, anyway, we're about to finish this, so okay, so that's that, and this is by no means final. Yeah, while we're here, we'll just fix up this one. So you can either use the select tool, or I think even if you were to just kind of like middle click, or maybe it's just points and faces tool. If you middle click to select one, yeah, then you can actually go to the transform there. And I'm going to come into orthographic for a second and just basically move this guy so he's more flush. Yeah, that should be fine. So we'll drop out of that, and let's go perspective. While we're here, let's get rid of our reference plane because we don't need it anymore. So edit image placement. There's no way to actually delete these, which is weird, but we can just hide it and then close the guide, and everything's fine. So yeah, and we'll disable the symmetry plane. We still have symmetry active, but yeah, we'll just disable the plane. For these little bits here that kind of stick out, I'm still a bit unsure about how to treat these, whether or not they'd be like a separate object that would sit on top, or if I kind of try to incorporate modeling that into the actual body mesh itself. A little undecided, but for now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to select, choose edges, I'll grab this guy and press the L key, and that will loop it all the way around. And then what I want to do is actually deselect some of these, so using the control key. And the reason I'm deselecting these is because these are the ones that kind of got scaled in, because what I'm going to do now, because I know that this is pretty much like a flat shape here, so I'm going to hit the transform tool, and I'm going to just scale it this way, so I know they're all flat and flush with each other, and then just kind of pick a point where I think those edges should be, which, I mean, it was close enough anyway, so that's fine. Yeah, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put down some points to run like a corner along all of these, basically just putting something like here and here and here, and then just filling all of these in. So I'll be back in a moment. With that done, now that we have like a nice bit of a slight rounded edge, just basically going to fill in all of the gaps. We may need to add in, you know, some extra loops here and there, but for now I'm just going to see what it's like without any of that. And I wouldn't worry too much about you know, pretty sort of bad topology, because this stuff, it's not, you know, it won't be skinned. This is a completely flat surface, so you don't have to worry about, you know, like an area like this. I will actually just do something else with that area, but you wouldn't normally have to worry about it. So I'm gonna just hold Control Shift, actually, just something like that. I mean, that's fine. You know, this isn't a character, it's not going to animate or anything, it's not going to bend or deform up here, so that should be fine. And so yeah, just going to basically try to fill in these bits, but I might need to kind of just introduce like some extra points just to kind of help out. Like this, these little areas are going to be a bit of a problem actually. I'll do something like that for now, and then we'll just carry on. Little note, if you do end up with an area where for some reason like the points and faces tool is just not recognizing that you want to create a polygon somewhere, you can just switch to another tool. But another thing is that quite oftentimes it could be just like a point that you've placed somewhere. I don't think this is the case now, but either way, if you were to just use this special clear points thing here, sometimes that helps with that issue, but I don't think it'll help with this particular one, so I'm gonna have to just quads that. So I was saying that, you know, you don't have to be too cautious with the topology, but what I've ended up here is kind of like an absolute mess. So you could just do something like that, or try to introduce some faces, some extra sort of points just to kind of help some things along. Oh, I do actually have a point there that I kind of want to get rid of. So let's just see what else we can do. You don't have to end up with full quads or anything, like that's not why I'm erasing stuff and trying to rebuild it. I just want clean-ish topology. You know, I don't want things to be too messy. But on the other hand, I know that this is just, you know, a static hard surface shape, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so I mean that'll probably do. Now I really need to make a decision as to what to do about these. Like, do we just leave them as they are? Let's get the Z bias down so it's not kind of projecting through. So we're looking at like the mesh here, and looking at the reference, like there's definitely like model detail here, but I can't imagine that they would have actually modeled all of that in, mainly because it's just a pretty low poly switch game. I mean, it's lovely, don't get me wrong, but so maybe we'll just do some support geometry. So we'll come in here either with the add and split tool or with the points and faces tool. I'm just holding Control and Shift, and it enters this mode. And if your ring is like too big, it's pretty weird, but if I were to let go of Control and Shift and then right click and drag, let's say, to the left, and now hold Control and Shift again, you notice my reticule or brush thing is a lot smaller. So yeah, you can't see the scale of your brush change in real time, which is weird. But if I were to now right click and drag to the right, it's now much bigger. So you have to kind of get used to that. But yeah, anyway, so let's see. If this was like a first person high detail weapon, I definitely wouldn't do it like this. I would model in this stuff a lot more accurately, but bearing in mind this is supposed to be kind of a replica of what we see in the game, there's a slight hint of some modeling detail, but for the side pieces, it's tough to say honestly. Like it could just be a normal map. But yeah, we'll leave that there for now, so that we'll say the body. So next, let's do these bloops. So if we bring down our Z bias again to 0, we can see we don't need to kind of do all of them, but just some. Not all of them. I mean, like, we don't need to go the whole way. So let's see. Bloops. Yeah, and looking at the reference, at least it definitely looks like these are actually separate meshes. Like, they're not coming out of the body mesh itself. They're just sort of, it's just intersected geometry. So yeah, symmetry, global space. Okay, that's all good. And yeah, again, I mean, there's nothing. What have I just done? Show 3D grid. There's nothing special about these either. We're just going to say points and faces again, probably. Maybe do it this way. I seem to be getting a lot of lag, so I am actually going to archive or downgrade this mesh. Okay, seems to be a little bit better. So yeah, let's put these in and increase the Z bias just a pinch, maybe just 1. And again, the symmetry, something very strange is going on today. So yeah, hit that button. That has gone magnificently wrong. Let's check a symmetry. Okay, so symmetry plane isn't on the axis, so reset that. Okay, there we go. Now it's fixed. So yeah, nothing special here. I am just going to select this edge and then do a bevel, I think. Yeah, something like that. So there, and then the rest is basically just points and faces again. So yeah, I'll be back when that's done. One thing you can do, if I just select this edge here and then press L to loop it, if you go to transform and then just hit the apply button, you can then basically create your own extrusions. So probably should have done that before, would have saved me a little bit of time, but yeah, something like that should be fine. I say that's gone horribly. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the only thing to note about this is it will place the mesh kind of wherever you put it, so it won't necessarily, in fact, it won't snap to a surface. So if you're doing anything sort of intricate, you might want to just go around and give the verts just a little touch so that it will actually snap to the surface. For this shape, it really doesn't matter too much, but yeah, just another little tippity tip. So yeah, what have we got? Got all of this. Okay, so I mean the bits, they're not going to take very long. The wire is going to be quick. The flippers. So let's just move straight onto the blade. And I'm going to do something a little weird with the blade. It's basically just going to be one one plane. So I'm not going to do any of these sort of shapes here, because when it ends up in game, it's just going to be a two-sided plane basically. So I'm going to only model, I guess, the outside bits, not the inside bits. I feel like I'm explaining this absolutely terribly, but so I mean, what I mean is, so I'll be doing this kind of thing. So I won't be modeling in this stuff. Oh, yeah, it won't let me cross over here because of this gap. But if you turn auto snap off, then you're basically free to just move things wherever you want, which is it's pretty handy when you're doing stuff like this. Although I probably don't want that there, thinking about it, because it's a curvy area. So let's just try and deal with this one first. And you also don't have to worry about things getting a bit kind of wonky, you know, like this plane is kind of bent and whatnot, because we'll straighten all that up at the end. So yeah, for now, just kind of focus on the overall front-facing shape, and then the rest will kind of just fall into place. So yeah, now it's time to tidy it all up. So select tool, vertices, and I'll just use the rectangle marquee, and then transform, scale these on the Y, just so they're straight, and bring them up. And then you kind of just want to go around and didn't want to do that. Just make sure everything is kind of roughly kind of correct at least. So yeah, these ones, what we can actually do is simplify them a bit, just so we don't end up with, you know, like a curve that we didn't want. So that's fine. All of these would be straight. So yeah, again, just the same. So yeah, something like that. And now you can just grab all of the faces. So we'll select faces and then just tap twice. Not in the transform tool. So go back to select and make sure you're not in the rectangle marquee. I mean, if you wanted, you could just do that, and that will select everything. But if you're in a brush mode, just tap twice and it will select everything. So yeah, now transform. And so now let's do it from this angle, just so you kind of see. So you see it's all straightening out, and we don't. Yeah, we might as well just put it slightly just on the outside. Yeah, should be fine. It's coming along, so we've just got little bits and flippers to do. Although I imagine everybody's kind of stopped watching at this point because it's all the same thing. So let's see, flipper 1. And yeah, I'll probably just speed through these because it'll be just the exact same thing. So let me know if there's anything I'm about to skip over that I haven't already covered. But yeah, otherwise I'll see you when it's done. I did just notice that my auto snap is off, so that might create some problems. And for the most part, because I was creating them with the points of faces, which will basically raycast and hit a surface, so we're mostly okay. I think it's just this little bit here that got a little bit screwy. So see if we can just fix that. Yeah, it's not even letting me select it. Pretty annoying. Okay, there we go. So So yeah, just bring this up and then back to points and faces. Auto snap is now on, so I can just move this point and it will actually snap too. So yeah, just a little reminder there, just in case you turned it off like I did. I don't think I'm going to bother with symmetry. They're just too small and too pointless. You know, to have that kind of extra edge loop going down there. We're probably using way too many polys as it is, so any little saving would be pretty beneficial. Okay, that definitely needs to come down. So yeah, when you're doing like these little additional pieces, always kind of check to see where they wrong one, body, where they'll actually go through, and you can mess with the Z bias just to kind of see a little bit more accurately. So yeah, that's pretty safe. So we won't get any kind of strange gaps from that. But yeah, something to keep in mind. I'll just carry on now. Yeah, for this bit actually, I will enable symmetry, but I won't try to sort of flip the like one side to the other, because that will it will either mess things up or it will create that geometry seam here. But rather than me trying to do like this annoying bit here twice, I'll just make sure I do it once. So yeah, I'll turn symmetry on for this, but I'll make sure I turn it off again afterwards. Or I might keep it on for that, but I mean, we'll see. Yeah, as you may have just seen me do, one thing you can actually do if you don't want this middle seam, but you want to just model with symmetry anyway, just because it's quicker, you can just come in afterwards, disable symmetry, and then just basically hold control with delete edges and just wipe it. So that's probably what I should have done with the rest of it, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, we've only got two tiny little bits, and these are going to be super quick, so we'll just say wire and something. So yeah, the wire, a little bit annoying that for now actually I think what I'll do is I'll drag these out so that they're not nested, so that I can actually hide the bits, and then yeah, this is going to be very quick, because we're just going to do stroke, one here, one there. In fact, the most annoying bit about this now is in fact, let's make ourselves some wiggle room and draw it all the way across. And we're on the wire, it's a number of points, I mean just 3 or 4 is probably fine. So that will be fine for that. Symmetry is on, so that's, it looks okay, but I don't trust it. So in fact, no, I think it is weird. So let's turn symmetry off and then do it. We have gotten these little sort of cap polygons, but aside from that, it's fine. In fact, let's just go to select now. So faces, gonna need a small, because I just need to brush, select that one face and make sure I don't select anything else, and we just delete them. Come on now. But before we delete this one, we'll transform and let's see, as bits, So we'll just move this there, and now it's safe to delete. In fact, we might as well, while we're here, just check the other side. Yeah, that's probably fine. So where's the body? Body. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's fine. So orthographic again, only just to make sure our lines are actually proper. Symmetry off, strokes, and we can probably maybe delete some of these faces, but I will just check. Okay, so we definitely can't delete that one, and we can't delete that one either. Okay, so we can't delete any of them. Great. But that's it. That is our, I think at least, I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but that's, get the opacity up, hide these. Yeah, that is the entire thing unwrapped in 1500 triangles, which is okay. Yeah, if there was any area that I definitely would like to improve, it's these bits here, but again, I don't really think they deserve, like, they're not prominent enough to have their own modeled pieces, so just giving them a bit of a silhouette bump is fine. We'll see. I mean, it'll be like another day or so until I get around to doing the next part of the video, so maybe I'll change my mind on that. But yeah, for now, we are completed with the retopology. Join me next time and we'll do the unwrapping and the baking. And then after that, we'll kind of dive into the texturing, and then we'll export it all into Unity and do some magical stuff. But yeah, that's all to come. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, wait. Yeah, I'm not going to end the video yet. I've had a sleep, and this mess basically kept me up all night. Like, I had nightmares about it. So yeah, we are definitely going to fix this. I'll keep the outer ring, but yeah, I'm just going to select essentially most of this and get rid of it, and we'll just start it again from scratch. Okay, so yeah, I have decided to model them into the body. You could still do them as like separate pieces, but I'm going to go with modeling them in. I'm probably going to need to tidy up this area, but actually, so yeah, let me just collapse these, which is the best way to do this. Maybe just the delete edges. So I'm just going to clean this up a touch. And that was kind of redundant because I'm only going to put them back in, but at least now I'm going to put them in where I want them. So yeah, we are going to increase the overall triangle count of all of this, but hopefully we'll just have a cleaner mesh to work with, and these weird little details will get the attention that they deserve. Oh, and if it's not entirely obvious, I'm in the points and faces tool, but I'm just holding down the control key because the control key is set to split, so pretty cool. And then yeah, the control and shift is set to add, which I think I mentioned before, but that's kind of how you do stuff like that. So yeah, big fan of the points and faces tool. It's pretty multifunctional. But yeah, basically I'm not gonna try to do this too kind of high poly. Why isn't that lining up? Okay, let's just go with quads then. I mean, I just sang praises about the points and faces tool, and now it fails me. Of course. So yeah, two-click method. So yeah, we'll just I'm just going to basically follow these shapes, but as primitively as I can. Yeah, so you may have seen a couple times there's been like this little error message up here saying like a face has been deleted for some other reason or whatnot. And if we check the other side of this, it is just a mess, basically. And that's because the symmetry is just not working for some reason. So hopefully to fix that we can just do the symmetrical copy button. And okay, ideal. If it flips the wrong side, Control Z that, or Z, I keep saying Z and I get told off for it. Yeah, so you just select the invert mirror, and so now I've hit the button and it's correct on this side. So yeah, keep going. Okay, so that's probably okay. I'm debating leaving that like that. I mean, it will pick up in the normal map just fine, but it's a bit of a weird area, so maybe we can, I mean, if I've gone through the effort of just redoing this whole thing, then I might as well kind of do it clean. Okay, so that's probably okay. And now the end goal here is to try and basically complete this mesh as cleanly as possible, which for us is going to be quite easy because we have this sort of extra area down here where we can feed as many loops as we want really into it. I mean, obviously we don't want to go crazy with this stuff, but you can see like now, you know, it's kind of working out relatively okay. We can just kind of put in a couple of triangles there, but that is much cleaner than before. Okay, so yeah, that's fine, and that was unfortunately the easier one, I think, because we have this is like, it's really close to these edges here, so we'll see what we can do. Basically the same thing, mostly just want to use points and faces, except for where points and faces decides not to work, and then I'll probably just use quads. Oh, yeah, and I have mentioned this before, but you might get some random sort of point that gets created way out in space, which is why this clear points thing here exists. So something to watch out for sure. Okay, so yeah, I think that's worked out a little bit better. Yeah, so now again we just have to kind of fill in the gaps as cleanly as possible. So yeah, just basically fill in the rest now. And if you need to kind of add in some extra loops like here or up here to kind of make things neat and tidy, then you know, that's all cool. But at the same time, you know, this is a flat surface. If you wanted to introduce some triangles just to merge some stuff down, it's also pretty fine. Just yeah, up to you. I mean, it was kind of fine how it was. I say kind of fine. I mean, it was pretty ugly. But I did do a test bake, and so I did have a look at it just to see if it would cause any sort of strange kind of issues, and it was fine. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best. You know, I could be teaching you much better things. So yeah, I've decided to do a little kind of redo on that. And for now, I will just add in kind of like a sort of grid-based topology with the intent to kind of clean it up later, because it's not always easy to kind of visualize where everything will eventually end up. So if you just try and like put in some points just to make your life easier, just to like fill in the gaps, then you can kind of see like the whole picture and where you can kind of make some changes to. So yeah, it's a bit of a process. You know, I don't have the exact answer right now, but as I keep going, the answer will eventually present itself. Okay, so I've evaluated my life choices, and I've decided that I am going to clean it up a bit. So I'm gonna have less triangles, but for the sake of potentially slightly messier topology. But again, it doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah, I'll probably leave it there. And one other thing I did forget to do was, if we go back to all of our handle stuff, I forgot to do the trigger. But also while I'm here, where is it? Grip. So we did sculpt in the like this sort of hole area for where the trigger would be placed in, but during the retopology for the grip, I didn't model that in, and that's because I am fine in the low poly version to just have that as a texture, but the trigger itself will not be a texture. So we're just going to quickly do that. And so yeah, this will just be strokes. And that now should be it. So let's have a look. Seems kind of okay. Maybe these bloop meshes that we have, maybe they're poking in just a little too much, so I can just select the edges of those. Probably hide the body to do that, and then hopefully just press the L key, so it should have looped all of that around. So then transform. Now we'll bring the body back just so we can actually see. So yeah, we'll probably just bring it in a bit, just so we're not wasting like too much texture in there. But we do want it to kind of go in, just in case it kind of creates like a gap that you can see in the mesh. I'm a bit worried about this area down here actually. That's a bit funky actually, so maybe, okay, yeah, something like that. And then just again, just a tiny little tweaky doodle on the other one. Yeah, that'll do. Although I did notice that we have this, which doesn't need to be there, so. Yep, symmetry wasn't on. Great. So let's do that, and it's done the wrong side again, so invert mirror. There we go. Okay, yeah, so that will now complete the retopo. So see you in the next one.